All right, so this is the setup for your capacitor and circuits lab. I'm going to be showing you the setup through a video so that you can go through it at your own leisure and pause it when you need to pause it, or skip the parts that you get quickly. So you're going to need a 100 kilo ohm resistor and a 100 microfarad capacitor for the first part, and you're going to need your circuit board. So take everything off your circuit board and find a 100 kilo ohm resistor and a 100 microfarad capacitor out of your little baggie or your lab kit setup. Let's start with capacitors. You have a bunch of capacitors in your kit. You need to find the one that says 100 microfarad. The writing is very, very small. This one that I'm holding right here says 100 microfarad, and it says 16 volts. So that's the one I'm going to be using. I'll put that to the side. For the resistor, I'm looking for a 100 kilo ohm resistor. So it's easiest if I figure out what bands I'm going to be looking for before I just try to read all of the resistors that we have, because I don't know about your kit, but my kit has a bunch of resistors. If I'm looking for 100 kilo ohms, that's 100,000 ohms. So that's 10 times 10 to the 4. So I'm gonna look at my chart and see a 1, which is brown, a 0, which is black, and then my multiplier, my times 10 to the, is to the 4. So I need to look at my chart and see what is to the 4th. And I believe red is 2, orange is 3, and yellow would be 4, but I'm gonna go fact check that real quick. All right, yellow is indeed 4, so I am looking for a brown, black, yellow. So I'm gonna dig through these. My third bar is yellow. That's a red, red, yellow. Here we go. There it is. Brown, black, yellow. I know it's hard to tell the colors. Hopefully on the video you can see, but that is my brown, black, yellow. That's my 100 kilo ohm resistor. So now I can start to set up my circuit. Okay, I'm going to be setting up my circuit as shown in your lab manual in figure 6. So please pull your lab manual out and pull up figure 6 so that you can follow along. I do have this set up in the same manner that my picture is set up. It does only require us to have one battery. So I'm gonna pop out one of my 1.5 volt batteries. It looks like we are going to go from B2 to SW1 on this side of my switch. So I'm going to go from here to over here on my switch. And you will need a switch hooked up, so because you're going to want to time how long it takes for the capacitor to discharge and or charge. So if you don't have a switch built into your board, if you have something like this is a switch, I believe. You can also look in your baggie to see if if a switch was included in your baggie. And then at the end of the day, when all else fails, your switch will be for you to undo one side of your battery. And then when you're ready to turn it on, you just connect it at the same time that you take your measurements. That's all my switch is doing, is just closing the connection. All right, so I'm going from the battery to SW1, and then I'm gonna go from SW2, one side of the switch, over here to C3. So I'm gonna take one of my longer wires and go from there all the way over to C3. I'm kind of keeping it out of the way. All right, then we're gonna go from S8 to S7 with our resistor, and it doesn't matter which way you put a resistor. It does matter for light bulbs and diodes sometimes, but for a resistor, it does not. Ooh, I'm dropping it, okay. So I'm gonna put that right here. All right, and then we're gonna go from S7 to S6 with our capacitor. And then we're gonna go from S6 to this one, and then back to the battery. So I wonder if I can skip. You know what? I'm not gonna skip because that's when I make mistakes. So I'm gonna follow it exactly as it says. We're gonna go from here to here. And then we'll go from here to the battery. And this is what your completed circuit should look like for figure 6.